Welcome to today's webinar, Achieving Digital Transformation Nirvana in Financial Services. I'm Patty Hines, Industry Solutions Director with MuleSoft, and I'm joined by Guy Murphy, Principal Solutions Consultant. MuleSoft has deep experience in a continually growing customer base in financial services. We have more than 100 clients across commercial banking, insurance, capital markets, card processing, and lending. As we talk to our financial services clients and prospects about connectivity challenges, they tell us about their strategic business drivers and challenges. And these challenges fall broadly into three key areas. The first is legacy modernization, the pressures facing many of our IT teams struggling with proprietary legacy applications to reduce maintenance effort and expense. The second is data management. Accessing, aggregating, and transforming data is critical, whether for regulatory compliance, understanding our customers, or being able to analyze large sets of data. And the third, and the subject of today's webinar, is digital transformation. Those initiatives that grow your business, whether by delivering services across multiple channels, upgrading the mobile experience for your customers, or exposing functionalities through APIs. And addressing these business imperatives is critical for firms to remain competitive. And it's kind of challenging because banks have a unique integration landscape. Now, of course, it's true for any type of financial services firm. It could be securities, cards, insurance, etc. But we're going to talk about banking for a minute here. So at the bottom, you have legacy applications. Many of these have been running in your back office for more than 20 years, 30 years on big mainframes, and you really depend on these for your core services. But then you also have proprietary applications, custom in-house applications, all on different platforms and using different software languages. And then last but not least is your data. This could be all spread out across your enterprise, in line of business databases, and there's also unstructured data to be managed. Now at the left of our slide, we have customers. So these are large corporations. They could be government, municipalities, and you're probably interacting with them through files, things like managed file transfer. But then you're also connecting to data providers and maybe other third providers like application service providers. And these are generally point-to-point connections as well. They may be web-based, they may be communications. And then we're also seeing financial firms start to connect to cloud providers. So notably Salesforce for CRM or Workday for HR. And then the most important connectivity point is how you touch your customers on a day-to-day basis. Banks refer to these as delivery channels, and we're going to talk more about that. So in today's webinar, as I mentioned, we're focusing on digital transformation. What are we talking about? MIT Sloan calls it the use of technology to radically improve performance or reach of enterprises. It's developing capabilities to offer multiple delivery channels on the customer's terms. They want it where they want it, when they want it, how they want it. So let's talk a little bit about what are the challenges going on in the business imperatives. We're going to start with APIs. Okay. So coming from a traditional banking background, I really didn't understand what was going on here. So what's an API? It's a set of requirements that govern how applications talk to each other, and they expose some of a program's internal functions to the outside world in a very carefully controlled and managed environment. Now, our partner firm, Programmable Web, tracks metrics on APIs, and they publish a directory of open web-based APIs. So for 2014, there was 150 to 200 web-based application APIs published in their website, and fully half of those were financial services related. And then other ones that are related to our industry are Bitcoin, payments, e-commerce. Now, Bitcoin is especially interesting. Bitcoin is a digital currency that's become very, very popular. And these APIs allow e-commerce and other sites to accept Bitcoin payments or to buy and sell Bitcoins. Now, many of these open APIs are household names that anyone will recognize. Things like PayPal, Amazon Payments, AuthorizeNet, which allows you to take credit cards on your website, Stripe, which is mobile payments, and Kiva, which is a micro-lending site. So these third-party vendors and providers are way ahead of the banks. But all is not lost. We do have banks that are really turning to APIs and apps to create very innovative products. So on the left of our slide here is Deutsche Bank. And this is their securities and global transaction banking space. So very, very sophisticated clients. And what they did was rewrote their corporate banking applications into small pieces and created an app store style interface. And they actually have something they call the Autobahn app market. So it's a single point of entry for those securities, large corporate and wealth clients to access their services and create their own dashboard. And they've recently launched a mobile version on the iPhone. So not only can you go to your mobile phone, your tablet, or certainly a web-based application. And so far, they've built 150 apps. On the other end of the spectrum is another German-based bank, Fedor Bank. They're a fully digital bank. They arose from the ashes of the 2008 financial crisis. Now, very interesting, Fedor has published an open API, which allows third-party providers to create financial management apps that can actually access a client's accounts, balances, etc., through this API. Very forward-leaning for this bank. So where are most banks on this journey? Most banks are, and it truly is a journey, so where banks a long time ago started out in the physical with branch offices and call centers, relationship managers, then they quickly moved to web-based online banking. And now we're really in the throes of being able to talk to them via Twitter, having a decent set of mobile services, things like online chat and personalized experiences. But the bigger banks, the more experienced banks, are moving to multi-channel. So things like having business services on your mobile, being able to start a mortgage application on the web, and then being able to finish it in a branch. And then you've really got the leaders that are looking at things like P2P payments, completely eliminating paper, truly having multi-channel fulfillment. And on the high end, having video advisory services. We're seeing video screens in branches replacing wealth advisors, or digital wallets, or being able to bank on social media. So what does this look like? You've got vendors that are offering out-of-the-box omni-channel experiences. You've got Apple rolling out their digital wallet and gaining very fast adoption. And ICICI Bank in India, and you can actually transfer money to your friends with a tweet. So you can imagine this really creates a tough environment for banks. So they call this omni-channel delivery. So again, in the old days, it started out with phones and fax and ATMs and online banking, and that was a lot to juggle. And now it's gotten more complex. So you're getting much more sophisticated mobile banking. I mentioned Apple Pay. We've got the Apple Watch coming out. And then Google Glass, which people were hoping might contribute to this trend, but Google is pulling back a little bit on that. So what's the challenge here? The online digital publication Finextra says that the average UK consumer, for example, uses 6.2 channels. So as banks add new channels to do business, they don't do away with the old ones. We still have to stop into the branch once in a while. We still have to have a call center, and we certainly go to the ATM. So it's really important that banks create a consistent experience across products and pricing, user interface, service levels. And it's really, really challenging to keep up investments across these channels. So next, my colleague Guy Murphy is going to talk more about the role of integration in digital transformation.
Thank you, Patty. So what we'd like to really discuss is how you achieve these types of strategies, and we think and believe from our experience with other financial institutions that integration is a key aspect of supporting these transformational requirements. And how do you do it in a pragmatic way, with both coexisting with the existing drivers of current infrastructure while maintaining this pace of change that is required to support these new digital outcomes and platforms? So let's have a look at Gail Kelly, CEO of Westpac Group. One of the major drivers there was the shift towards customer-centric organisation within the bank, and they actually saw the need to support that and make that shift within their organisational structure and the view of their systems to actually allow the development and support of a digital and mobile strategy and set of technologies. This was one of the key concepts that was required to really drive out innovation within the organisation. A notable portion of the mobile apps, and this is coming from Gartner and Massimo and Richard, is often not the front end. So I always term this the eye candy of the mobile strategy. The creation and development of the mobile app is actually becoming much more streamlined and cost effective as more enterprises have moved into this space, new tooling and new platforms to support these concepts of connectivity from the network to the device as well. One of the key costs is actually the core integration. For many mobile strategies within financial services, the core data and the core process and transaction still resides in your core back-end systems. And actually, in this case, the quote is nearly 70% in some cases of the actual mobile cost of the project was actually the more traditional on-premise integration patterns required to be not just developed, but reshaped to cope with the mobile use case, the mobile channel, and the interaction patterns of the mobile consumer today. So, the reality is integration within a lot of enterprises can't cope with these sorts of counter drivers. You have your current investment, you have legacy systems, you'll also have new systems coming online, but there's also a separation between that and the mobile and multi-channel requirements. And virtually no organisation hasn't got some form of middleware today. Either middleware or custom code, and some organisations the custom code is referred to as middleware. These have often been built up over decades of investment. They've often become a monolithic architecture in their own right within the organisation, and very much are not structured, neither in their development life cycle, nor their core capabilities, let alone technical ability to support modern and new protocols, development practices, and use cases that are required when moving towards this true multi-channel concept within a customer-centric view of a financial services strategy. So how do we help make a pragmatic set of decisions and capabilities to support these counterintuitive realities? Firstly, to recognise the pace of change and requirements within these two tiers. Firstly, your core systems have to evolve at a relatively slow, or in some cases very slow, pace. Partly due to regulation, quite often and more commonly just due to the technical debt within the infrastructure and previous attempts at layering out and having to often build custom code extensions to solve tactical requirements within the previous organisation. Paradoxically, the pace of change and pace of development within web, API-based, cloud and mobile technology layers is actually getting faster and faster, especially as new capabilities are being invented and rolled out across these layers. So having to manage the transition of getting the key information from your slow life cycle into your fast capability is quite key. When we talk about this as a bimodal strategy within many organizations, not just financial services. Many organizations and early adopters approach this with a point-to-point point of view. We see this in many of the initial mobile apps, some cloud integration and some web-based integration strategies. The challenge to this is that there is an inherent inflexibility with point-to-point. There's a high technical debt risk, and actually, in many cases, these point-to-points don't actually support an omni-channel pattern. You end up having different integration paths, different transformations, and even different integration points at the back of the office into separate environments. And this gives the customer a very fragmented view of what your service plane should look like. So what then happens is, additionally to the current investment, what you see is a layered set of conflicting integration investments. The point-to-point, slow-moving integration into certain aspects of the current middleware layers, often buffering of integration data and transformation into staging points within, say, a PaaS platform, and basically now a challenge of not just a traditional on-premise spaghetti, but a spidering of integration patterns across each individual challenge. The outcome of this is cost and risk of change, a mounting technical debt, inconsistent access, in worst case scenarios, inconsistent security and performance patterns across the multi-channels, and a poor return on assets on both sides of the line. So how can we help you resolve this conflict and challenge? Firstly, to take on the concept and design patterns of an API-led connectivity strategy. This allows separation of concern and a decoupling of the internal technology stacks from the external consumption model. It also allows a much more well thought out and structured set of channel engagements. APIs include not just technology principles, but interaction principles, commercial principles, channel ownership, prioritization. This lets you start to fundamentally think about, rather than an integration out, to move towards a design for consumption of the channel or the multi-channel in the most efficient manner. So, what is API-led connectivity? It allows connectivity to the back-end core systems and across the banking landscape to move from a bottoms-up technical infrastructure which exposes out all the banking complexity and technology and legacy complexity into a much more consumable manner. So, as a use case for a mobile platform, the mobile consumers only will see the functionality and the data and the capability that they want to take out through that channel. It allows the line of business developers to move in the appropriate manner within the life cycle of that mobile service, while being decoupled, both technically and even from a point of view of governance and deployment, from the slower moving on-premise core systems. It also breaks the ongoing proliferation of point-to-point or legacy technology layers, so that you get a robust and non-brittle connectivity pattern. Also, API-led connectivity supports some key concepts of understanding who is consuming the service, how are they interacting with it, what level of service should be applied, and how it's actually being used. This is going to support the ability of integrating tomorrow's systems and developing new patterns and understanding when an API may need reinvestment or redesign, not driven on the upgrading or innovation cycles in the back end, but rather on the consumption and usage of the new digital channel. The outcome of this is API-led connectivity platforms and strategies allow the business to move at a much faster capability without compromising the security, the access, or the technical infrastructure of today's current systems. What is the outcome? Developers are able to create reusable and composable APIs. It allows the business to access the appropriate data in the appropriate pattern and channel. It allows much greater speed to connect by the separation of concerns and separation of technology and life cycle. A key aspect must be the maintenance of control and allow this creation of building blocks. APIs on APIs. For some environments, micro APIs for rapid data access, but again supporting all the previous points mentioned. So, how do we support this? Firstly, by having the ability to deploy a unified connectivity, integration capability both into SaaS, legacy and custom environments, both for the API and for integration patterns. Having a modern set of tooling and content to support the modern life cycle of a development environment. So, agile development, continuous test, continuous deployment, modern protocols, APIs, JSON, and new emerging channels and technologies for IoT strategies. And having an architecture, a governance framework, and a life cycle that is hybrid ready today. What are the key components of the Anypoint platform? We have, going from left to right, a rich and highly usable development environment with Anypoint Studio and Anypoint Data Mapper, allowing you to rapidly fit into a modern DevOps environment for speed, agility, and innovation. Anypoint templates are the ability to either take MuleSoft pre-thought IP or develop and extend them, or create your own templates for reusable patterns, best practice, error handling, security frameworks. These can run on either on-premise ESB architectures or cloud-based architectures as appropriate to the channel, the use case, and the innovation lifecycle. These are supported by Anypoint connectors and API dev kit that allows rapid connectivity to modern platforms or the creation of modern integration patterns into legacy landscapes. We allow end-to-end enterprise management and analytics across our layers, and we have Anypoint API Manager and API Gateway that allows the creation, governance, full life cycle of an API, consumption of API proxies, and management into the other core components. This is created from and supported by the Anypoint API Designer, and content is then fed into the Anypoint API portal. So we are unique in the market and recognized by analysts such as Gartner of having a single complete platform and strategy for traditional on-premise integration that is both high performant, highly reliable, and highly efficient. Cloud-capable deployment patterns. API management as a core concept to the platform rather than an edge concept. Complete lifecycle from design with RAML-based tooling through to API design, integration design, deployment, content management, operational management, and business insight.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm now going to just chat about one of our customers that has used MuleSoft in a really terrific way to be able to create that agility that you were just talking about. So this is a financial services software company, leading provider of solutions for small to medium-sized businesses. Now, back in 2008, they realized they had a problem, and they've been using open software and allowing other firms and other organizations, to create solutions. But their architecture was holding them back from really having an innovation pipeline. So the business said, we've really got to figure out a way to ramp this back up, have great product experience, and really find a way to unlock the value of data through APIs. So one of the things they did is they revamped their entire architecture with the help of the Anypoint platform from MuleSoft. They created a shared services layer, and they API-enabled every service. So think about some of those things the guy was talking about being able to reach all the way back into legacy applications and be able to deploy APIs to enable external parties or even internal developers to create really interesting new capabilities. And they really achieved profound results. In just 5 years, they doubled their customer base, grew their patents 5x, and reduced the time it takes them to develop a new API from 4 weeks to hours. And the solution's massively scalable. It's processing 90,000 transactions a day with a 99% success rate. And we have plenty of other examples of this here at MuleSoft. Let's start over again. We have many other tremendous examples here at MuleSoft where we can help you speed to launch new initiatives, speedy deployment, productivity improvement, ramping developers, etc., and we would love to talk to you. So please contact us and let us know how we can help. Thank you so much.